Hi there! Today's video about phrasal verb in English. Why are phrasal verbs so difficult to learn? Most people struggle with learning them. There are a bunch of the phrasal verb and often it's difficult to catch the meaning. The reason is that many phrasal verbs have multiple meaning. For example, the phrasal verb put down has several meanings. The first one is to place something down on the ground. The second is to humiliate or criticize someone. And also to kill an animal that was sick or suffering. Many phrasal verbs are idiomatic as well, so their meaning is not always as the individual words suggest. For example, to look up to someone means to respect someone. You don't actually have to be shorter than someone and physically looking up to them to be able to use this phrasal verb. So let's start from what is a phrasal verb. Phrasal verbs are phrases that indicate actions. They are generally used in spoken English and informal text. Phrasal verbs consist of a verb and a preposition or an adverb. For example, here you can see some phrasal verbs with prepositions: get on, drive off, hang out. And here's also some phrasal verb with adverbs: come back, turn around, run away, and get together. Also, phrasal verb can be transitive or intransitive. Transitive phrasal verbs need something or someone after the verb. Let's take a look at look up to. This means to respect or admire a person. You can't just say, I really look up to. The first thing is that I would have to ask is who? Who do you look up to? This phrasal verb always has to be followed by a person, by someone. Look up to, a transitive phrasal verb. You need to have someone after phrasal verb to make sense. But some phrasal verbs are intransitive, which means they work fine on their own. For example, to grow up means to mature, and you never need to add an object here. I grew up in Scotland. There are some players who need to grow up. Now, some phrasal verbs are either transitive or intransitive, depending on their meaning. So, take the example come over. This one has two meanings. To visit someone in the place where they are, usually in their house. Why don't you come over? But come over can also be transitive if a feeling suddenly affects you in a strong way. I think she comes over as a very nervous. Now, in addition to knowing, phrasal verb can be separable or inseparable. And this is as simple as it sounds. Separable means that the verb and the particle are able to be separated in the sentence. For example, the phrasal verb take on, which means to become responsible for something. I'm going to take on the project. Or I'm going to take the project on. It's a transitive phrasal verb. It doesn't make sense on its own. We can separate the words in the phrasal verb. Now, an inseparable verb means that we can't separate the main verb from the other words in the phrasal verb. Let's take the example to look up to, which means to respect or admire a person. We can't say to look someone up to or to look up someone to. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense because it's inseparable. Here is an example of how it could work. I really look up to your dad. Now, phrasal verbs are multi-word verbs, so they need to be treated like any other verb in a sentence. They need to show us which tense is being used, and they need to match the subject that they are being used with. For example, I give up. It's too hard. He always gives up without really trying. We are not giving up yet. I thought you had given up. See how the verbs change each time with tense. So let's practice how to use phrasal verb in the right way. Focus on topics, not on alphabetical lists, because that is how you are going to use phrasal verbs while writing or talking about a topic or issue. For example, if you are planning to take a holiday soon, think about all of the phrasal verbs you might use on your trip. Get on the bus. Take off in the plane. Pick up the hire a car. Pack up your suitcase. Go out for dinner. Hang out with friends. So now let's do some writing practice. Go to the list of phrasal verb and fill in the gaps. And now you can check yourself. If you have the same option, you are doing well.